Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day, and today we're going to be making my March Madness predictions for 2025. Let's get into it. Probably won't have a full bracket since you have a better chance of hitting 2 Powerballs in 1 year than making a perfect March Madness bracket, which is crazy. But, you can still try to beat, no one's going to even come. Well, there will be some people that might actually have a perfect bracket. I don't think there will be a lot of people that even get close to it. I probably won't be close to it, but I'm going to try to be, at least solid with my predictions. So let's get into it. Starting off with the first 4, there are some really good teams in the first 4. Starting off with, not the first game today is Alabama State and St. Francis. I'm going with Alabama State. But the matchup I'm excited for later tonight is North Carolina, San Diego State. I'm going with North Carolina. Then you got American versus Mount St. Mary's. I'm going to go with American. And then you got Texas Xavier tomorrow night. I think this will be a great matchup. And I'm going to go with Texas beating Xavier. Then we get to the first round matchups. Auburn versus what will be Alabama State. You never know. 1 seed could get upset in the first round, but I'm going with Auburn. And then you got Louisville, Creighton. I'm going to go Creighton beating Louisville. That'll be my first upset. Michigan, San Diego. Michigan's the Big Ten champs. I know there are some people that are thinking that Michigan's going to lose first round, but I'm going with Michigan. UC San Diego, they're a great team. They're 30-4. They went 34 this season. Really good basketball team, but I'm going to go with Michigan. They got momentum from winning the Big Ten championship. Then we got Texas A&M versus Yale. Yale, really solid team, 22-7 this year. Texas A&M had a really tough loss in the SEC tournament when they lost to Texas. I'm going to go with Yale winning. Ole Miss versus North Carolina. I'm going to have a team from the first 4 end up going into the second round. I'm going North Carolina versus Ole Miss in this one. Both had very similar records this season. North Carolina went 22-13. Ole Miss had a 22-11 record this year. North Carolina had a really hard schedule. I think North Carolina shows up when it matters and takes care of this one right here. Then Iowa State, Lipscomb. I'm going with Iowa State. I really like them in this tournament. Then got New Mexico, Marquette. I know a lot of people are really high on Marquette as well, but New Mexico, they've been a team in the tournament in the last couple years that, they could sneak up on you. I'm going to go with New Mexico. Michigan State, Bryant. Yeah, I'm not taking Michigan State to lose this one. Yeah, I got Michigan State. And then going down to the West, the West, I'm going with Florida versus Norfolk State. I'm going with Florida. UConn versus Oklahoma. I don't have UConn going very far in this tournament because they would play Florida if they beat Oklahoma. But I'm going to go with them beating Oklahoma. I don't have the team that has won 2 straight national championships in a row losing in the first round. All right. Next, we have Colorado State versus Memphis. I like Colorado. I got Colorado State getting upset here. Memphis is a really good team, but I like Colorado State as well. And then Maryland, Grand Canyon. I'm going to go with Grand Canyon getting upset, so that'd be a win for a 13 seed. That would be interesting for sure. And then you got Missouri Drake. I got another upset for a high-digit seed. I got Drake upsetting Missouri. Then we got Texas Tech versus UNCW. I know UNCW was really good this year, but Texas Tech also really good. They're the only team this year that won in Houston, beating U of H in their own house. That's the only team that did it this year. I'm going with Texas Tech to win this one. And then Kansas, Arkansas. Yeah, I know Kansas has the better record than Arkansas, but I don't see John Calipari losing his first game ever in the March Madness tournament with his new team, Arkansas. So I'm going with Arkansas getting the upset over Kansas. St. John's, Omaha. Yeah, I really love this St. John's team. Spoiler, I have them going far in this tournament. Give me St. John's. Then we have Duke versus American, I'm going with Duke. It'll be a blowout. And then Oregon, Liberty. I like Liberty as well. I think they're a solid team, but I'm going to go with Oregon. I could see an upset here. Arizona, Akron, another really solid team in the higher seed that I could see Akron getting the upset here. I actually wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but I'm going with Arizona. And next we have BYU, VCU. I know there are a lot of people that really wanted to take VCU to win this one and get the upset. I think it's very possible, but I'm going with BYU in this one. And then Wisconsin, Montana, another really solid team in Montana. I really could see an upset here as well. There are a lot of higher seeds that I could see upsets, but I just don't have it. I'm going with Wisconsin. St. Mary's, Vanderbilt. I'm going with Vandy for an upset here. And then Alabama, Robert Morris. I'm going with Bama. Houston versus SIU, Edwardsville. I'm going with Houston. Non-biased as a Houston Cougars fan. Gonzaga, Georgia. This is another really hard matchup. I think both teams have a great chance in this one. But I'm going with Gonzaga. And then Clemson, McNeese. I'm going with Clemson. Purdue, High Point. I'm going with Purdue. Illinois versus Texas. I'm going to go with UT getting a win. I think they have some momentum with the way they started to play in the SEC tournament. You had such an amazing double overtime win against Texas A&M. They beat Vandy, and were really struggling before that and were able to get two nice wins. If you're able to win in the first four against Xavier and you have some momentum, I for sure think you could beat Illinois, who weren't that amazing this year. I mean, they were a good team this year, 21-12, but it's not like it's a super hard matchup for Texas. I'm not saying they're not a good team, because they are a good team, but it's not a super hard matchup for Texas today. So, yeah, that's my prediction there. And then Kentucky versus Troy. I'm gonna go with Kentucky. Another solid team in the higher digit seed with Troy, but I don't think that Kentucky's gonna lose to Troy. I know last year was definitely embarrassing for Kentucky, but I don't think it's gonna happen 2 years in a row. Next, we got UCLA versus Utah State. I'm gonna go with Utah State getting an upset here, and then Tennessee, Wolford. I'm going with Tennessee. Let's get to the second round. Auburn versus Creighton. I'm going with Auburn. Michigan versus Yale. I know I had Yale getting the upset versus Texas A&M in the first round, but I'm going with Michigan, the Big Ten champs, going to the Sweet 16 to face Auburn. And then, so those are my first two teams in the Sweet 16. Then North Carolina versus Iowa State. I got Iowa State moving on. New Mexico versus Michigan State. I really like Michigan State, so I'm going to go with them to be the fourth team in the Sweet 16. Then Florida, UConn. This is where I have the back-to-back champs road ending, where UConn loses and Florida wins. And then we got Colorado State versus Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, if they win the first round, would be a great win for them, but I'm going with Colorado State to win. And then you got Drake versus Texas Tech. I'm going with Texas Tech. Again, really like Texas Tech in this tournament. I think Drake's a really solid team that I can see making to the second round. Honestly, could see them even beating, Texas Tech in this tournament. But I'm going Texas Tech. Like I said, the only team to beat Houston this year in Houston. That doesn't make them, special. I mean, it is really impressive, but they're a really good team. And that's why I'm going with them here. Next, we got Arkansas versus St. John's. You got two really good coaches. This would be a fun matchup right here, but I'm going with St. John's. And then go over to the East and Midwest side of the bracket. You got Duke, Baylor. I'm going with Duke. And then you got Oregon, Arizona. I'm going to go with Oregon. And then BYU, Wisconsin. I'm going with BYU. Vandy, Bama. These two teams have seen each other a lot in the college football world. We saw that amazing upset for Vanderbilt in the football season this year. Does Vandy get another upset over Alabama? That would be interesting. But no, I'm going with Alabama. Houston versus Gonzaga. I'm going with Houston. Clemson versus Purdue. I'm going with Clemson getting an upset. Clemson is the higher seed, so that would be an upset. But Clemson does have a better record. Then we got Texas versus Kentucky. I'm going with Kentucky. and then Texas's road ends there, and then you got Utah State versus Tennessee. I'm going with Tennessee. Then Sweet 16, Auburn, Michigan. Still have no 1 seeds eliminated just yet. Auburn, I got them moving on to Elite 8, beating the Big Ten champs. Then Iowa State versus Michigan State. If Michigan makes it as far to the Sweet 16, and so does Michigan State, we could see in the Elite 8 a Michigan versus Michigan State matchup. That would be interesting, but I don't have it happening because I got Iowa State and Auburn meeting each other in the Elite 8. Then Florida, Colorado State. I'm going with Florida to move on to the Elite 8. And then St. John's versus Texas Tech. I've been high on Texas Tech. That's where I had their season ending in the Sweet 16. I got St. John's moving on to play Florida. Then Duke versus Oregon. I got Duke moving on to the Elite 8, another 1 seed in the Elite 8. Then we got BYU, Bama. I'm going with Bama in the Elite 8. And then we got Clemson versus Houston. I'm going with Houston to move on to the Elite 8. And then Kentucky versus Tennessee. I'm going with Kentucky to win and move on to the Elite 8. So then we get to the Elite 8. Duke versus Bama. Duke is the first team. Sorry, Bama is the first team I have going to the Elite 8. I have Alabama going to another Final Four. And then U of H. They haven't been into the Final Four since like 2021. They have a couple Sweet 16 losses in a row, but I have U of H going back into the Final Four to face Bama, a team they have lost in this tournament to before in the last couple years. So I got U of H moving on to the Final Four to face Bama. Auburn, Iowa State. This is the first 1 seed. Or no, Duke is the first 1 seed I have going down. This is the second 1 seed I have going down. I got Iowa State beating Auburn and moving on to the Final Four. And Florida, St. John's. I'm going to go with Florida losing here and St. John's moving on to the Final Four. Then we got U of H versus Bama. I got U of H going to the national championship. And then Iowa State versus St. John's. I got Iowa State going ahead and going to the national championship. Then Iowa State versus Houston, national championship. Crown the Cougs as champions. All right, might be a little bit biased, but at the same time, the Cougs are a great team. And I think their path, the only part I doubt of them being able to win is Kentucky. That's the only game I really would feel a little bit worried about for this Cougs team. But Kentucky's a team that's had a lot of fails in this tournament in the last couple of years. I think the Cougs could take them down. Bama would maybe worry me a little bit, but I think the Cougs have a solid chance to win this whole thing, if not just get to the national championship or Final Four. Let me know your thoughts on my March Madness predictions. Give me your March Madness predictions in the comment section. Peace out.